agenda. Obviously, do some introductions. We'll talk a little bit more about RYTHMz at a very high level. The use of assessments as a sales tool, identifying, documenting pain points, presenting findings that lead to sales, reviewing some of RYTHMZ offerings, and kind of doing a general Q&A. So I appreciate everybody joining today, and those who are going to be listening to this later on recorded. Thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy day to hang out with us here at RYTHMZ, and hopefully sharing some knowledge and making everybody a little bit more profitable in the end. So I am TJ Van Orf. I'm going to be stepping in today. Unfortunately, Leonard is sick. We had a conference last week, actually, I'm sorry, a week and a half ago, and Leonard is still battling the whatever bug he picked up from that. So rather than torture everybody here and talk to that with Leonard coughing up a lung, it's going to be me. So I'm our director of operations here with RYTHMZ. I'm very familiar with the product offering and working with MSPs. I have a long storied past of working in and out of the channel, doing different IT management roles and different sales support roles. So I'm really looking forward to talking with everybody today. So when we talk about RYTHMZ, the first thing we're talking about is a company that from the ground up has been built and designed to support MSPs. So much of our leadership team came out of the MSP space, and that really was something that they from day one decided this is an underserved market. This is something, an area that not only has so much incredible profit potential because it is constantly growing, but also an area that a lot of the big players just blatantly ignore. There's so many enterprise level solutions out there that are unwilling to adapt or modify for that MSP space in order to support MSPs and that SMB market. Well, RYTHMZ is not that. RYTHMZ was built with MSPs in mind when we talk about our different solutions, our business policies, our practices, and how we sell and support our MSP partners. You can really tell from the ground up, we're built for MSPs, specifically with our 5G wireless solutions. So what does that mean? That is incredibly vague. It can mean so many different things. And so what's one of the things we actually struggle with is trying to define what are the real use cases for RYTHMZ when we talk about 5G connectivity and 5G Wi-Fi, because it can mean so many different things. First and foremost, it's business continuity. It's how do you support your customers to make sure that they are always online? Because more and more every single day, the internet is beholden to all sorts of business functions and practices. As soon as we lose connectivity, businesses are losing the ability to function even at the lowest level. So how do we not necessarily even plan for disasters, but have such good planning in place that there is no disaster, avoid that disaster? That's why I always prefer the term business continuity over disaster recovery. Connectivity anywhere. Being able to be online and have resources online and productive wherever they might be, whether that be remote sites, new offices, legacy offices, or even offices that and locations that are traditionally underserved by ISPs. A lot of ISPs don't want to dig any more trenches. Trenches are expensive. So upgrading circuits, upgrading connectivity in a lot of locations can be cost prohibitive, and the ISPs would rather just let people suffer. Ensuring your critical applications are supported. You know, an example that an MSP brought to us once was doctor's offices. In doctor's offices, you don't necessarily think of them as being high compute environments, but all the electronic medical records are up in the cloud. Nothing is stored on site. So as soon as those offices lose connectivity, they can no longer see patients. They have to literally 100% cease to operate because of the fact that their applications are so important. Increasing bandwidth, let's increase the sizes and bandwidth of circuits, supporting events and pop-ups, security incident responses. We're building that RYTHMZ security incident response toolkit. And so that way our MSP partners, when there is a security incident, they can go into customers, get them not only back online, but as they're cleaning devices and doing security remediation, they're being able to follow SOPs. And that ISP stopgap, being able to support what happens when the ISPs are coming up short, whether that be with poor connectivity or even no connectivity. And the biggest advantages of RYTHMz, first and foremost, we're carrier agnostic. All of our solutions span at least 2, if not onto 3, or even sometimes 4 different carrier networks. And that means that we're able to deliver the best connectivity to our customers and our partners, but also making sure that that connectivity is redundant and reliable. There's no single point of failure within our solutions. So if for some reason one of the carriers maybe has an outage, or maybe they don't have some great coverage in a particular area, we're able to utilize the other carriers to broaden, bridge that gap in performance that we might see. Utilizing best-in-class hardware, some of the highest throughput modems and routers, as well as antenna solutions, all put together in a nice, convenient package for our customers and partners. Solutions that work, working with MSPs and going, what works for your customers? How do we scale this appropriately? How do we size this solution for your customers? And lastly, top-tier support. RYTHMZ support is available 24/7, being able to be there for you and your customers, no matter what might come up. So when we talk about proof of concepts, what are we talking about? So in general, obviously, I think everybody knows what a proof of concept is, a POC. What does RYTHMZ mean when we talk about a proof of concept? First and foremost, we're going to send you the hardware. It's really hard to do a proof of concept on a hardware connectivity solution without having that hardware in your hands. You know, if it was a software trial, it'd be really easy to give you a redemption code, give you 6 or 14 days free. That's not what we're talking about. When we talk about a RYTHMZ proof of concept, we want to put hardware in your hands. Put that hardware in front of your customers, so that way you can see firsthand what it looks like to utilize RYTHMZ and deliver that connectivity when people don't believe you can, because there's a lot of preconceived notions about 5G, you know, Wi-Fi hotspots and things like that. So we want to get you hardware in your hands, 14 days of equipment on site with you or with your customer site. We're going to, once we do send out the equipment, we're going to actually go through a deployment call. We're going to sit down and say, here is not only how to deploy RYTHMZ, I know it's incredibly easy. What are any hookups we might be having? Are all of our SIM cards connecting? Or is everything looking good on our end? Get you access into our dashboard. Make sure you can monitor that hardware as well. No cost to you whatsoever. With our MSP partners, as soon as you sign our MSA, we consider you a partner, and we're partnered in for your success. Part of that is making sure you can test the RYTHMZ solution and having that on site. So we will ship these POCs to you anywhere you are in the US free of charge. We will cover that cost to and from for you. And as with most of our RYTHMZ solutions, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited data. So we've had quite a few partners challenge us on this. We've seen devices put through tens of gigabytes in a day, literally burning through hundreds of gigabytes of data in less than a week. And that is fine. That is what our devices are supposed to be able to support. So we really do actually appreciate those stress tests that our partners tend to put us through. That being said, kind of moving away from RYTHMZ in particular, how do we use proof of concepts as a sales tool? The best thing that any MSP can do when they're having conversations with their customers is discuss new and emerging technologies as your foot in the door. Talk about what's coming on the pipeline. What is down the road? What do we see in 6, 12, 24 months? Trends in the industries, or even new technology emerging, because new technology does come along that shakes up a lot of things. We can talk a little bit about 5G. What's the one thing that everybody's been talking about the most recently? AI. AI has been built up through word of mouth to be this massive disruptor, and it's going to put people out of work, and security vulnerabilities and all of these other issues and concerns. MSPs need to be having those conversations with your customers about that, because if you're not only somebody else is, but the news is, they're going to read articles online. They're going to have all of this doom and gloom and scary information, and they need their partners, their technology partners, to be that expert in the room with them. So anytime there's a new technology, anytime you have the ability to showcase to your customer, hey, this is the cool new stuff we're playing with, even if it's not necessarily a good fit for their environment at that moment, having that conversation with your customers brings the most important value it can, and it solidifies you as the MSP as their trusted advisor in all things technology. It establishes you as the expert. And every time they might have a question, a concern, or read a scary article about, you know, security vulnerabilities or whatever it might be, you're going to be that first call because of the fact that they know you're that trusted advisor, that you know what the technology is doing. You're doing that research and you're staying ahead of it, and you're doing all the research so they don't necessarily have to. That's the value. That's how you leverage point of proof concepts as a sales tool, because of the fact that that gets you that opportunity to have that conversation when you might not think there is a reason to give that customer a call. It gives you that option and that opportunity to add value when maybe nothing's broken, and have that conversation to really solidify you as that expert. And when we do talk about rhythms, treat it as a network assessment. Take it like a QBR. Have those regular conversations, but you can do it in a way that doesn't come across salesy necessarily. It comes across as you just, you know, maybe geeking out, trying to share some new really cool technology and how it can impact their environments. But when you are talking about this, you want to have clear objectives. The biggest thing that you want to get out of it, not only is solidifying your spot as that expert, but also better understanding your clients' use cases and priorities. Having proactive conversations about outages and issues before they happen. Your customers are eventually going to lose connectivity, whether that be an outage that lasts for 15 minutes or 15 days or 15 hours. They're going to have an outage, and that could be from a litany of different causes. That might be the root cause of that outage, but they're going to have one. What's the plan for when that happens? Do you understand what their plan is? Or do they go, you know what, hey, the outage sucks, but we're just going to keep plugging along, and you know, we'll do what we need to do? Do they immediately need to send people home and say, hey, go work from Starbucks? Or do they just say, hey, you know what, we give everybody the day off because stuff happens? If they do have an outage, who are they calling first? Are they going to call you as their MSP partner? Are they going to call their ISP? Are they going to call, you know, maybe they do call Verizon, maybe they do call, you know, their whoever they've got, you know, supporting their cradle point. Ultimately, as a managed service provider, I would always want to be that first call, because at the end of the day, as an MSP, you probably don't have a lot of visibility into their circuit. You probably didn't sell it to them. You may have told them where to go. You know, they're working directly with the MSP, or I'm sorry, the ISP, and you're not billing on it. You're making no profit on it. But what happens when it goes out? What happens when that customer does lose connectivity? I would hope that you're that first call, because then you're that trusted advisor. And then you could have that conversation proactively with them and say, hey, you're right, you do have an outage. I'm going to go ahead and open a ticket with Spectrum. And in the meantime, here's what we're rolling out to get them back online as fast as possible. How much does an outage even cost your customers? All businesses are different. An outage at one customer might be a minor inconvenience. An outage at another customer could literally be tens of thousands of dollars an hour of lost revenue. You need to understand that. By understanding what their needs are and their priorities are, you're going to be able to better leverage your solutions and your answers as a value-added proposition. Because when we talk about maybe it's a rhythm solution for a few $100s a month, that might sound really scary. That might sound expensive. They're like, oh, that's thousands of dollars a year. But if they have one outage is going to cost them $10,000, one outage will more than pay for that backup solution. But unless you have understanding of really where your clients' use cases and priorities are, and asking those open-ended questions, you're not going to know. And that comes down to those open-ended questions, is identifying and documenting your pain points. What is that customer currently dealing with that are their pains in their side? Is it onboarding new employees? Is it connectivity issues in terms of access control and making sure that the users that need to have access when they need it? looking through the most common things that come up again and again and again, because that is, as an MSP, where you can add value and be that trusted partner by solving that problem that they deal with every day. Maybe it's not even a big problem. They don't even think about it as a big problem, but it takes 5 minutes of their day every single day because they don't have the right SSO solution, because of the fact that they don't have good bandwidth, because their backups are running in the middle of the day. Whatever that could be, asking those open and ended questions and really getting to the baseline of the pain points your customers are having every single day is going to go back to establishing you as the MSP, as that subject matter expert who provides value in all things and makes their lives easier. And that's what you want to do. And that's, once again, we're bringing in new technologies and new offerings and new solutions can be the big differentiator. Success criteria. Go through, just talk about what you're trying to do in a proof of concept. Sometimes it's just playing around with new technology and kind of gives you that opportunity to geek out with the customer. Sometimes it's a lot more focused than that, because you might very well be saying, hey, I want to do a proof of concept to solve this one problem that I know you already have. That is where you have to go into and understand, what are you talking about? What is the definition of success in a proof of concept? Sometimes it is selling that solution right then and there, right in front of you. Sometimes it's just a matter of another opportunity for you to get in front of your customer and have proactive conversations and talking about the problems that you might foresee them having that they're not having yet. And that's going to be, once again, where you add value, where you become the subject matter expert, and when you become the trusted partner. And that's exactly what we're going for. Within that, and having those success criteria and talking about things, ensure you have agreements to follow that up, your SLAs, potentially tiered SLAs. So when your customer says, hey, I really do have a concern where I might not be able to get support within 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, be ready to talk to that and be ready to offer solutions that have value, because it has SMART goals, true, measurable, and actionable goals that you can discuss with your customer and have KPIs to put up against. And present your findings. At the end, if you do a proof of concept, present your findings, put something nice together, whether it be a PowerPoint like this, an email or a PDF with your letterhead, but actually give the hard numbers that your customers are going to want to see as far as things you might have found. And maybe some of the best things you can do is present where everything looks good, because that green check mark, those positive KPIs or those assessments into your customers' environments that you can say, hey, we're already operating well and efficiently, and that you don't propose changes, still builds to that concept we've already been talking about of you being that subject matter expert and being able to provide the most value to your customers and being that trusted advisor. Because a trusted advisor doesn't always have an upsell. A trusted advisor is going to come in and say, hey, I do have a solution here that's going to help make your life a little bit easier, but here's all the ways where you're already doing great. Because as that business owner, as whomever your customer is, that's going to feel good for them. And that's what they're going to want to hear in their trusted advisors, is that, hey, sometimes you are doing right. You need to be the person who will call it out when there's area for improvement and be able to back it up with facts. But if you can give them those, warm reassurances of, hey, you're doing great, that has a ton of indirect value in building that trust relationship. So when you do have solutions and revenue opportunities in the future, they're going to be a lot more accepting of them. And probably one of the hardest things to do when we do talk about proof of concepts or QBRs or network assessments or security assessments and things like that, the hardest thing to do is ask for the deal. If you do have revenue that's on the table, that is a new offering, whether to remedy some of those solutions or pain points that you've already identified, you've got to ask for the sale. Put put the number sign down and say, hey, I suggest we bring on this additional tool set or this offering. It does have a cost associated to it, but I think it's going to be the best thing for your environment. And that's tough because that's hard sales. And that always puts us all on a spot that we can feel uncomfortable. But that is, the most important crux of this entire process is at the end of the day, you've got to ask for the sale. I want to talk about is a use case that we had. Whoops, I'm sorry. Went too far. A use case that we had with the Huntington Club. So the Huntington Club is in Huntington Beach, California. It's a resort. We were actually brought into a partnership there because of an event. They were hosting the golf's long ball or world long ball drive competition, and it was going to be live broadcast on the Golf Channel on ESPN. Well, believe it or not, golf courses are pretty adamant about not digging trenches through the fairways and right up to the first tee box. So how are they going to get this live stream data from that first tee box back to ESPN's truck, parked over in the marshalling yard? That's where they brought in RYTHMz. We were able to deploy an on-site peer-to-peer network from that first tee box all the way back to kind of our almost a knock on site that was deployed, and being able to give them the connectivity that they needed to be able to broadcast that event live on 2 different channels. The cool thing about that was the MSP partner that we worked with, they actually were able to land the Huntington Club as a customer because of the fact that the existing MSP had no idea that technology such as RYTHMz or being able to rapidly deploy a peer-to-peer 5G network and with Wi-Fi access points was something that they could even do. It was the fact that another MSP was on the cutting edge of these technologies, knew how to support it, and knew how to deploy solutions and was very solution-minded. They landed the customer. As well as was able to immediately increase revenue and support over what the prior partner had been doing, because they were just willing to be on that cutting edge and willing to talk about new technologies that they might not need today, but maybe they need in 6 months, maybe they need in 9 months, maybe they do need it today. But by being in front of technology and being able to have those conversations with customers and partners early, it keeps you relevant, keeps you front of mind, as well as, I've said it a bunch, it's being that trusted expert and that trusted partner. So as soon as that customer has a problem, a question, a concern, you're that first call. You're the first trusted advisor they have on all things technology. And that was a huge win for our partner out there. And we're still really proud of how well they've handled it and been able to support that relationship. So when we do talk about RYTHMz, we do have a few different solutions in order to be scalable. As I said, we'll send a proof of concept to you anywhere you might need it for 14 days. We want to get hardware in front of you, in front of your customers. At the end of the day, we have no long-term contracts. We're fully month to month, no data caps, no bandwidths, no throttling. We have tiered solutions to find exactly what works best for you. And for your customers. That's all starting at $295. If you happen to be an ASCII member, we'll actually give you 6 different proof of concepts to go on site at different customers and show them the value of RYTHMz and have these conversations and approve you as a leading expert in technology. So RYTHMz Complete, we do offer as kind of a reseller agreement. So this does have a contract involved. This is nice for you as an MSP because it gives you the opportunity to come in and almost be like a telco reseller, resell RYTHMz into your customers, still dealing with unlimited bandwidth, solutions engineering, tiered solutions, but we fully manage that billing for you. The customer doesn't have to, and you don't have to deal with those recurring billings. We'll go ahead and take that off and pay out as commissions as are aligned within that contract agreement. So another option for selling RYTHMz into your customers. And then we're finalizing RYTHMz On Demand. And RYTHMz On Demand is a 1-year solution, but it is flexible pricing because it is on demand. So no longer necessarily dealing with unlimited data, but it's a SIM card in essence, and connectivities that are turned off, they stand on standby, and they turn on when is needed. So whenever your customers might take that outage, you're there to provide the solutions that they might need. So few different ways we want to work with our MSP partners and to continue to deliver the best value and revenue opportunities for MSPs while still supporting customers. It says my contact information. I think we've got a few people on. I do want to open it up if we have any questions or anything we can discuss or anything I might be able to shed a little more light onto.
We could unmute Mitch. There you go. Mitch has mic access if you want to ask a question. But you're still muted. I can't unmute you. There you go.
There we go. There we go. Check, check. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for taking the time. I might just be me. And
Yeah.
I know that I've had the opportunity to meet TJ. I certainly know one of those other guys or two in there. But first of all, I did absolutely want to support your guys' endeavors. I think that there's some opportunities there. I'm still sort of investigating some of the nuance of what you've been doing and what Steve's been doing and so on. But I see some real possibilities and some opportunities. So I wanted to thank you. I was just, again, wanted to be there for you. I think that there's some, the kinds of, I don't necessarily have any questions on what you were presenting, TJ, although like anybody else, I would love a copy of it if possible.
We'll definitely
Absolutely.
Yeah, if to be able to get that so that I can go back and reference, I come from, sort of, very, very different, different part of the round room that we're all in. You know what I mean? When we're attacking things that, when we're trying to service customers, when we're trying to help folks, I was much more of a, Steve would know that I have specialties in areas of hospitality, food and beverage, events, things like that. And there are tie-ins to that from my sales background, which I pretty much I got my professional MBA from American Express, 5 years there. They taught more about sales than I probably could ever have absorbed. But this is a chance for some of your tech to be able to go into new areas. And like you've touched on, areas where AI, for example, if somebody's constantly running AI and they have a shortage or the failure, then that's a sales opportunity. And so on. So there's probably some points that I don't necessarily have a question on now, TJ, and not an apology, but I am interested in any kind of information where you get another, where you see another market opportunity, and it might tie into those things. To be able to point it out and, and feel free to share it. For somebody like myself, I'm in Las Vegas. I've been here for over 20 years. I've been in hospitality for almost all of that time. And I see opportunities where this kind of technology can come in. And I'm sure you have other partners that are already doing this, bringing your kind of technology into event spaces, just like you guys have been doing. You know what I mean? And I read all your guys' stuff and I've seen, whether you've brought it to the golf course or whether you've brought it to and had to turn it on when you were speaking at a trade show and so on. And I have been investigating, albeit trying to get as much information as I can while I'm working on my current project or two. I've been trying to investigate all of the contract nuances of events in specifically unicorn cities like this one, where hotels, trade shows host so many people coming in with their events. And the contracts in there are very, very keen to be able to understand whether you can bring in a third party to be able to do that. For the most part, all my experience in hotels has been a no. But there may be chances where that evolves, or you can find some gray areas and provide a solution. I know I've been talking a lot. I'd love to hear your response.
No, Mitch, thanks for the support. And And I think I sent you a LinkedIn message thanking you, but thank you for the documentation that you shared with me a couple months ago.
Oh gosh, I hope that helped. I
You
really
did.
hope that helped.
I was not expecting like a 160-page document.
Sorry,
No,
but I
it
figured
was great.
more is better than less.
No, I appreciate it. So you actually hit on something. So, and I actually, I didn't hit on this experience. I was in the event space for a decade, and helped run Phoenix Comic Con and took that from a 32,000 person event to a 250,000 person event. And used to run my own conference series. And you're absolutely right. By default, all of the hotel and event meeting spaces try to sign you into non-competes. They try to say, well, hey, you have no choice but other than to use our vendors. Period. Full stop. They wanted to end there. Most of the time, those are addendums or clauses in the contract that actually are negotiable, and there is some wiggle room there. And there's the reason there's wiggle room is because it doesn't hurt to ask, but there's also actually been legal precedents to support the fact that they have to have certain competition. So one thing was in 2017, Smart Cities, massive, AV and IT support company within the event spaces, actually had a massive settlement because they got caught suppressing 5G. They were suppressing cell signal in order to force customers to buy their access to their networks. So there is a legal precedence to actually a lot of what is happening in the event space with these event providers that they legally can't do it. So the best thing that any event runner who was running events is before they sign those contracts, have conversations with the vendor, with the event space of really understanding what is flexible, what's not. Most of the time when it comes to technology, they are always willing to support changes to the contract if it's in-house owned. So if you run an event, if you own your own tech, they'll go, okay, yeah, you can bring in your own tech. But since they have such a massive contract with the Smart City or PSAV or whomever that might be, and I just now obviously made a total mental break or brain fart of any of those other IT providers in the event space. They're always, because they have a massive contract that it's exclusivity, so they don't want to pay out on that, but you can always ask. And it is something that as an event runner, you have to do early on. I don't know, Mitch, you're active on LinkedIn. There's a great influencer in the event space. His name is Will Curran, Curran. I've known Will for 14 years now. And he talks a lot about, especially from the AV side, which is, just a slight catty corner off of what we're talking about with network solutions in the event space, is you have to be willing to negotiate those things up front. And we're currently even in talks because of my relationships with Phoenix Comic Con, now called Phoenix Fan Fusion, actually deploying RYTHMz at the Phoenix Convention Center, and able to support them in that event, and seeing exactly what does that look like because of those contracts that are in place, as well as not wanting to hurt those longstanding relationships, because you might sign in as an event partner into a venue for 4 or 5 years, and yeah, maybe you can get an out 1 year, but you really don't want to piss off your on-site IT team either. So it's tough. But you have to be willing to have those conversations, and you do have to have them early, because Mitch, what you were kind of alluding to is those contracts are a little scary.
Yeah, and I've been on both sides of it for a very, very long time. And most of the time, you know what I mean, the bigger the city, I've just found out, the bigger the city, the bigger the organizations that you're working for, whether it's an event space, whether it is a hotel with an attached convention center and so on, they pretty much have that all. They're dialing it in internally. So for them, they're like, no, it's no problem. We're just going to turn it off. And they have the ability to be able to, nix on those levels. And sometimes they're like, I don't care. Just, you're not going to turn it on, and that's it. And then I think it's there's opportunities there, but as there's always support areas. So for example, I had a conversation with a catering manager recently that was just kind of on this topic, where we were discussing, okay, well, if it's in the convention space, if it's in the ballrooms, if it's in, the 250,000 square feet, inside, we're just going to turn it off on you. Although one department doesn't necessarily do it the same way as the other, and there's opportunity there. They also have space outside, at which point they're going to be like, well, yeah, we don't care what you do. And we're like, Whoa. So you're blanket saying that we're going to probably not provide, allow you the opportunity to be able to find a solution, except if it's in these areas. And those are the spots where you just got to find them. And you're like, okay, well, great. All you got to do is now find events that need to be outside in Vegas, preferably, somewhere from, I don't know, September to April. But
I was going to say
beyond
October,
that,
even September.
yeah, I was going to say October. Yeah, just depends on the year. But you can find those kinds of things, and I've been kind of thinking about that. Now I've been pursuing projects that are completely and totally in different spaces right now, in an effort for branding, self-branding, and company growth. But this is an arm that I know has something. You guys are just new, isn't the word. Excellent opportunity time, you know what I mean, for what you guys have been doing for years.
And it's it's a bit of backlash against these event spaces that are, oh, you want Wi-Fi? Oh yeah, that's $9,000 a day. Oh, what you want Wi-Fi? Well, that's $10 per device. Or in these outlandish contracts that they're throwing out there, that they will literally charge $8,000 or $9,000 for somebody to deploy an SSID on an existing network. A network config that takes 15 seconds, they're going to charge, potentially tens of thousands of dollars. And that is an example from Vegas, so it's a little inflated. But even outside of that, it can be $2,000 or $3,000 per day or per event.
And I not to cut you off, I associate that exactly the same way. I'm trying to find people that, on the business side of it, if there are opportunities for consultation for hospitality, whether we're building a spot or whether somebody says, I need somebody that understands how to be able to take us through event management, for example. I have, there's people that will go, look, guys, you want to have it in a huge city like this, get used to 3-figure, costs for a gallon of coffee. There's no, wait, just coffee. Yeah, trust me. It's 3 figures, and that was before we've had, issues with droughts and so on and further.
And that was, and so I ran an event in DC. Not only was it 3 figures per gallon of coffee, but they were going to refresh the coffee of all 3 crafts every 90 minutes, regardless if anybody had drank it.
That's right. Because that goes down to quality of product.
Because that's a certain quality is like, no, we did not go through 32 gallons of coffee. Right. I'm sorry. And then no, you did, because we kept refreshing the crafts.
I know. And trust me, as I think about this, and I make a joke about how my mortgage balance would have just benefited have I just stayed a catering manager or a banquet manager. It would have been just fine. I could have probably been great, no problem, instead of trying to grow and pursue something on our own like we do. But all that stated, keep plugging away. But I think that there's, like I said, to sort of the wrap around, it's just really just us chatting together now. But wrapping this all back around, the more sharing, if at all possible, with market spaces that could benefit from somebody just dipping in, starting, adding an arm to what they're doing, and getting out there and selling into a new space. The more spaces you see that going, that's got an opportunity, there's an opportunity, there's a new opportunity, I think that would benefit. It would certainly benefit me. I feel free to go, yeah, that's cool, great, no problem, read our newsletter. I will read the newsletter if you've got one. And that's, I think, what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it's in the event space in particular, there's another shift coming. We saw, obviously, the event space was absolutely blowing up, and then COVID came in, and the space has not recovered. But also there's these event venues who these contracts is getting horrible, in the point where events are actually dying off. And it's becoming significantly harder to run events to begin with, because it's becoming cost prohibitive, because there aren't any other options. It's a complete monopoly. So I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see another shift in the event space, where these venues can't be as locked down as they are, just because the lack of competition is driving up prices, and it's becoming completely untenable.
Right. I'll shoot you. I'll definitely shoot you a LinkedIn or an email or something like that. And when you've got 2.5 minutes of free time, like I'm sure you do every week, TJ, I'd be happy to, we'll pick up and kind of share current state of the unions if you're into it. So,
and and when we've got some stuff coming out, like I mentioned, Will, and now I'm spacing on his business partner's name. I apologize to him. We're going to be doing some promotional stuff with them here pretty quick, and really kind of, again, talking about the event space as a whole, because of my background in it, Steve's background in it, and obviously the natural fit for RYTHMz.
Yeah, excellent.
So, all right, thanks, Mitch, and hi, Mel. Thanks for joining, Mel. Oh, she's still on mute. All right.
Hi. No, I politely muted because I have a sick kiddo in the background. So
We have a sick Leonard.
Yeah, we have a sick Leonard. That's what you get stuck.
kind of like having a sick kid. Yeah.
Kinda.
Oh.
Except probably whinier.
Fair.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. And those who are watching this recorded, stay tuned for more info. And if you do have any questions, feel free to email me or reach out via LinkedIn. And obviously, we're available, sales@rythmz.com. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.